Greetings, this is Miss Jackson. I'm going to make a video covering the first extra practice that is being sent home this week. This is going to cover the lesson 1 homework, and you can find the title of the homework in the top right-hand corner. This is just practice that's being sent home for you to go over with your child. It is not something that needs to be completed and returned for a grade. If your child has something that needs to be completed and returned for a grade, we will make a note in the top right-hand corner with like a little HW or something like that. And it's usually something that was either missed because they were absent or was not finished in class. This, however, does not need to come back. This is just a practice at home. We're starting off 3rd grade with multiplication this year, and I'm really excited about that because multiplication feels like a big jump to the kids, especially when we're starting out. So I'm hoping that by starting sooner in the year, it will give us more time to really develop our understanding of multiplication. When we look at multiplication in 3rd grade, we can view it through many lenses. We can look at it as equal groups, repeated addition, skip counting. We can look at it as an array, all sorts of wonderful things. Today, we're going to just look at it as equal groups. So if we look here, and I don't send home every page of homework out of the curriculum that we have, simply because some of it we use in class as our graded work, and also that would be a lot of paper coming home to you. So right here, this starts with problem 2. It says, the picture below shows 3 groups of hot dogs. Does the picture show 3 times 3? Explain why or why not. Well, when we look at an expression, and 3 times 3 is an example of an expression is simply what we would call an equation without the equal sign. An equation has an equal sign at the end. It's set to a total. An expression, more or less kind of the same thing. We just don't have the equal sign at the end of it. So here's our expression, 3 times 3. When we look at a multiplication expression, the first factor, now it's the first number here. A factor is one of the numbers in a multiplication problem. The first factor is going to represent the number of groups. The second factor is going to represent the number of objects per group, or in each group. So if we're looking for 3 times 3, that tells us we need 3 groups of 3. And when I look at this picture, I see 1, 2, 3 groups. So this first part of this expression is correct. When I look into each group, I see 3 objects, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which means the second factor is also correct and represents this picture. So when it says, does the picture represent 3 times 3? The answer would be yes. And when it says explain why or why not, we could say 3 times 3 means 3 groups of 3. I see 3 groups of hot dogs with 3 hot dogs in each group. I really like this Eureka curriculum. One thing I like about it is that it will ask the kids to explain their reasoning and their thinking. And that is wonderful because it helps them build a deeper understanding of what they're doing. It cements the information more into their brain. But also, when we get to the end of the year, we all know we have the STAR test coming. We don't know which year they're going to make kids start explaining their answers. We just know that it is now a possibility that it could be any time. When the STAR test changed 2 years ago, we were told they may or may not have to explain their reasoning on it. And we never got a final answer as to whether 2 years ago they were going to have to do that or not. Well, the test came, they weren't required to do that. They weren't required to explain it last year either. However, you never know when the state of Texas is going to decide. This is the year we want kids to type out and explain using short, complete sentences their thinking and their reasoning and why they selected what they did. So I like that Eureka has them practice that, and we're practicing it starting early. Problem 3. Draw a picture to show 4 times 2 equals 8. And I'm going to pick a different color. I'm going to write that expression or equation, because this has an equal sign, a little bit bigger. Remember, the first number is our number of groups. The second number is the number of objects in each group. So we could simply draw 4 groups, put 2 objects very clearly and neatly in each group, and we have a total of 8 objects. Problem 4, circle the pencils to show 3 groups of 6. 3 groups with 6 in each group. Let's do that first. There's a group of 6. That's a group of 6. Here's a group of 6. And then it says, write a repeated addition and a multiplication sentence to represent the picture. So let's start with the repeated addition sentence. Repeated addition is simply what it sounds like. We're adding the same number over and over and over. In this case, we would be adding 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals. When we count that up, we're going to see that 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. That is a repeated addition sentence. Then it says to write let's see if I can find a different color in there. Write a multiplication sentence. A multiplication sentence is another way that this curriculum uses to describe an equation. And so it's a sentence with numbers. So we could have 3 times 6, remember 3 groups of 6 equals 18 total objects. The last thing I want to cover before I end this video is we looked at the term that we use for the number 3 and the number 6 here, the numbers being multiplied, and we said those are factors. The last thing I want to cover is the term that we use to describe the total in a multiplication sentence, and that would be the product. Okay, that's where I'm going to end this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, myself or Ms. Hampton. We would be happy to help you go through this. Feel free to create more problems for your child to solve based off this. And always, if you have anything that a child can physically manipulate, so maybe you want to physically make 4 groups of 2, anything that you have to do that with, pencils, paper clips, dried beans, anything that they can physically build it with is going to help with their development of conceptual understanding. So if you have those things, that would be wonderful to pull out in this moment. And then build them extra problems that look similar to these, but with different, I call them different nouns, different names and numbers. Thank you.